I was 20 when my life changed forever. Finishing my school, juggling textbooks and table orders, I worked at a small local restaurant. It was one of those places where I had to make a living to help with my school. I was young, cheerful, and completely unaware of how a single moment could alter the course of my life. He walked in one evening, amidst a group of friends, their laughter echoing against the walls of the cozy restaurant. I remember the group, not because of their laughter or loud voices, but because they were young, happy, and their eyes seemed to sparkle with a mix of innocence and kindness. He was in the group. I didn't notice him that day, but apparently, he did. He came back the next day, alone this time. I was wiping down tables, lost in thought, when his voice broke through my silence.
"Hi, I saw you yesterday. You have the most genuine smile I've ever seen."
His words, simple yet sincere, caught me off guard. I blushed, not just at the compliment, but at the intensity of his gaze. We talked for a few minutes as I had to finish my shift, but he asked me for dinner on my day off. We met, and he shared his dreams, his passion, and the little things that made him laugh. I listened, charmed, sharing pieces of my own story. There was an ease between us, a connection that felt both novel and exciting. As we grew closer, I began to see layers of him that I appreciated. His charismatic smile, his caring, which made me love him even more. I remember the night he first said he loved me. We were sitting on a park bench. It wasn't a grand gesture, no dramatic declaration, just a simple, heartfelt admission that felt as natural as breathing. "I love you," he said. That's how our story began, in a small restaurant with a chance encounter. It was a beginning filled with hope, with dreams of what could be. We were young, in love, and the world was ahead of us. 2 years later, he proposed and I accepted. We had a small wedding filled with both of our families and friends. The memories are vivid: happiness, joy, and that exhilarating feeling of falling in love, of believing that we had something special, something that would stand the test of time. 16 years of marriage felt like a lifetime and a moment all at once. We had built a life together, brick by brick, a testament to our love and partnership. Our house, a cozy nest of memories and dreams, was a symbol of what we had achieved together. Both of us had successful careers, and our relationship seemed to be the envy of our friends. We were the couple that had it all, except children, a choice we made together. He was always the loving, caring husband. Mornings began with his kiss and the aroma of coffee he brewed for us. Evenings were our time to reconnect, sharing stories of our day over a home-cooked meal. He helped around the house fixing things, keeping our world in perfect harmony. I felt cherished, secure in the love and life we had nurtured together. But then, the unthinkable happened. I discovered the affair purely by accident. A message on his phone, not meant for my eyes. The words were like a punch to the gut, a jarring, painful realization that the man I thought I knew, the life I thought we had, was a facade. He had been seeing another woman for over a year, and I was completely oblivious to it. Confronting him was the hardest thing I had ever done. His confession was like salt on an open wound.
"It was only sexual. No feelings involved. I know it's a hard thing to say or to hear, but you have been distant lately. Intimacy is not as before, which is something I need as a man. I love you, will always love you, and can't live without you."
The words were meant to reassure, but they only deepened the cut. How could physical betrayal be dismissed so easily? Was our bond so fragile that it could be broken by mere physicality? I struggled with a torrent of emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness, confusion. It was a storm that overwhelmed me. The man I had loved and trusted for nearly 2 decades had shattered my world into a million pieces, and the most painful part? He seemed genuinely remorseful, torn by his own actions. His eyes, once full of warmth and love, now held a deep sorrow. The house we built together felt different now, the walls echoing with the secrets and lies. Our happy memories were tainted, every shared moment questioned. Was he thinking of her even when he was with me? I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it all. The realization that he could love me and still hurt me so deeply was a paradox I couldn't reconcile. The foundation of our marriage, built on trust and love, had crumbled, and I was left wondering, can love alone be enough to rebuild what has been broken? As I wrestled with these thoughts, I knew one thing for certain. This was a turning point in our lives, a moment that would define what came next. The future I had envisioned, the one we planned together, was now obscured by a cloud of uncertainty and pain. In the aftermath of the revelation, I turned to the one place where I could be anonymous yet heard: the internet. I found myself on Reddit, a platform of strangers, typing out my story, my fingers trembling with every word. I was seeking advice, help, anything to make sense of the chaos that my life had become. The responses were a mixed bag, mirroring the turmoil within me. Some comments were laced with hatred, others with compassion, and a few offered support. Most advised me to leave him, their words echoing the pain and betrayal I felt.
Someone that really loves you wouldn't cheat because the thought of hurting you should destroy them.
One comment read. Another bluntly said,
I'd leave him. I would ask for divorce immediately. I don't care how many beautiful years we spent together.
Then there were comments that struck a different chord, ones that made me pause and reflect.
Don't sell yourself short by saying the person who cheated on you was the love of your life. Do you know who the love of your life really is? It's you.
This particular advice resonated deeply, speaking to a part of me that I had neglected. It continued.
It's time to pony up. It's time for you to become the person you've always dreamt of being. It's time to do all the things you've ever wanted to do. It's time to invest in you and chase your passions.
The words were empowering, yet they clashed with the sadness and love I still harbored for him. His remorse was palpable, his sadness genuine. The man I loved was flawed, deeply so. But he was not solely the embodiment of his mistake. Amidst the sea of opinions, one comment offered a different perspective, replying to the previous comment. A glimmer of understanding amidst the judgment.
Forming strong attachments is normal human behavior, especially in marriage. It's part of our DNA. Her husband did something shitty. She could have tended to her needs, and it still wouldn't stop this from hurting. Let me ask a question. Did she tend to his needs? Your advice to her is like attending a funeral and telling the widow, you shouldn't have attached so strongly and forgotten yourself. But look how much time you'll have now to work on yourself. Like, is that really the message she needs at this moment?
This comment hit home. It wasn't about negating the hurt or excusing his actions. It was about recognizing the multifaceted nature of love, commitment, and pain. As I read through the comments, I realized that no amount of advice could make this decision for me. Each word, each perspective, was a reflection of someone else's experiences, their beliefs. But this was my story, my heartbreak. I was torn between the pain of betrayal and the remnants of a love that had defined a significant part of my life. In my quest for clarity, a friend sent me a TikTok clip from the movie The Vow. It featured a poignant scene where Rachel McAdams' character questions her mother, played by Jessica Lange, about staying with her father after his infidelity. Her mother's response was a profound reflection.
I chose to stay with him for all the things that he had done right, and not to leave him for the one thing he had done wrong.
This scene, and the subsequent comments it generated, opened a new window of perspective for me. While many women were quick to dismiss the advice, labeling it as unhealthy or a clear example of what not to do, others shared their personal experiences of healing and forgiveness. One comment read,
Me and my husband healed our toxic marriage after he cheated. I wouldn't have my two youngest had I taken the advice of others. We have the best life now.
Another said,
I stayed after he cheated 3 years ago, and we are doing just fine. It took a lot to forgive, but we moved past it, and we're happier than ever.
These confessions resonated with me, echoing the internal conflict I had been wrestling with. It led me to a moment of profound self-reflection. I realized that despite the pain and betrayal, I still loved him. Our life together had been filled with beautiful memories, a testament to the love and happiness we had shared. It wasn't perfect, no relationship is, but it was ours, built over 2 decades of companionship, support, and mutual growth. I also had to confront a difficult truth about myself. I hadn't always been the perfect partner. I recognized that I may not have always fulfilled his needs for intimacy and passion, a realization that was hard to admit. It's a challenging notion, especially in a society that often views relationships through a lens of idealized perfection, where each partner is expected to fulfill every need seamlessly. This acknowledgement wasn't about placing blame or justifying his actions. It was about understanding the complexities of human relationships, the challenges of love and desire, that his needs as a man is different than mine, that I had to be available for him, understanding that a man received his love through passion and intimacy. It was also about recognizing that love isn't just about the good times, but also about navigating the challenges, the imperfections, and the mistakes. The comments on the TikTok video and my own introspection made me realize that the decision I faced wasn't black and white. It was a spectrum of grays, filled with questions about love, commitment, forgiveness, and personal growth. Could we, like the couples in the comments, find a way through this? Was our love strong enough to withstand this storm? Sitting across from him, the man I had loved for more than half my life, I felt a storm of emotions raging within me. Betrayal, sadness, love, and confusion swirled together in a tumultuous tide. But amidst that storm, there was a need for openness, for a dialogue that could perhaps lead us to a path of healing. I began by expressing my feelings of betrayal and the deep sadness that had enveloped me since discovering his affair. My words were raw and honest, painting a vivid picture of the pain his actions had caused. But in that vulnerability, I also acknowledged something that was hard to admit, that I might have missed attending to some of his needs in our relationship. It wasn't about justifying what he did, but about understanding the complex tapestry of our marriage. I started, my voice trembling. The pain of your betrayal is overwhelming. I feel so lost, so hurt. But I also can't ignore that maybe, just maybe, I missed something you needed from me. He looked at me, his eyes a mixture of pain and hope.
I know I've hurt you deeply, and I'm so sorry. No words can heal your sadness. I can't change the past, but I can definitely work on our future.
I nodded, the weight of his words sinking in. I look at you, and I still see the man I love, the man who has shared a life with me. How do we move past this? How do I forget what you did? He reached for my hand, holding it gently.
I don't ask you to forget, only to forgive. I know it won't be easy, but I promise you, I will spend every day making it up to you, showing you how much I love and cherish you.
Tears welled up in my eyes as I squeezed his hand. All these years, the love, the memories. How do we say goodbye to that? How do I say goodbye to you?
You don't have to.
He whispered, tears in his own eyes.
We don't have to say goodbye. We can rebuild, start anew. I know I've broken your trust, but I'll do everything to earn it back, to be the husband you deserve.
I looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity, the regret. It's going to be hard. My emotions, my feelings are all over the place. But deep down, I know I still want you. I still believe in us. We held each other, our tears a silent testament to the pain and love we shared. It was a moment of raw honesty, of acknowledging our past and the uncertain path ahead. How could I possibly articulate the depth of what we had built over 16 years? The love, the care, the countless memories that had woven the fabric of our life together. It was overwhelming. He was not just the man who had hurt me, he was also the person who had stood by me, shared in my joys and sorrows, and built a life with me. The question loomed over me. How could I say goodbye to all of that? How could I discard the years of love and memories we had shared? It felt impossible, like trying to erase a part of my own being. In that moment of shared vulnerability, I realized that despite the pain, I still wanted him. I still believed in the sincerity of his remorse. The love that had been the cornerstone of our relationship was bruised but not broken. 3 years later, our relationship had transformed. The path to healing was challenging, but it brought us closer. We learned to communicate better, to understand and fulfill each other's needs. It wasn't easy, but we emerged stronger, our love deepened by the trials we had faced. The affair, once a symbol of our relationship's fragility, had become a testament to its resilience. The journey taught us that love is not just about the good times. It's also about the ability to weather the storms together.